Yeah, so I just was looking at all these different content creators, and I want to invite them to grand opening. Smaller following, maybe they'll be happy for a free meal and shoot some content. I reached out to about 6 of them, and they all agreed, and now they have all blown up.
And how much traction have you gotten the last couple years in social media marketing and people walking in the door because you just started with a conversation of like, hey, this is what we're doing. Can you come make some content? I'll feed you for free.
Welcome to Henderson HQ. This is the podcast where you get all the stories behind the businesses that make our community tick. Don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter.
Hey there, Scott Groves with the Henderson HQ podcast. Today we talked to my friend Dana, who is the managing partner for the Angry Crab Shack off of Sunset here in Henderson. And I'm going to tell you, at first I was hesitant to interview somebody that is the owner in a larger multinational corporation franchise, but the conversation today was just a great reminder that behind every franchise, there is a franchisee who's paying the bills, investing their money, building the community. It was a great conversation. We talked all about staffing and margins and what she loves about living in Henderson. So check it out. Thanks for watching. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Henderson HQ family. Scott Groves here with the Henderson HQ podcast and the newsletter. Don't forget to subscribe at hendersonhq.com. I'm actually here with a new friend, Dana, but in some ways we're old friends because when we moved up to Henderson about 4 years ago, the first restaurant that we discovered that was right down the street from our house was Angry Crab Shack. And then come to find out years later that this is your establishment. So we got to know each other at a recent event we did there for a UNLV game. And welcome to the podcast, Dana.
Thank you.
All right. So how does one decide to open a very complicated business of a seafood restaurant? I have a little bit of insight in this because my 22-year-old who lives in New York wants to work in sustainable seafood. So he works at a seafood warehouse. He's actually the warehouse manager now because he's the only person that can show up on time. So I hear all the stories behind the scenes about crab and lobster and shrimp. And I know more about the oyster reproductive system than I cared to ever know. And I know it's complicated. So how do you come about to be a restaurateur?
Well, a little crazy. No, just kidding. Yeah. No, so my sister used to work for the franchise, the brand.
Okay.
And at the time, there was nothing like this in Vegas, nothing at all. And she kept on saying, Dana, you really got to open one in Henderson. She says, it's going to take off. It's going to do great. And I says, all right, talked with my husband about it and he's so safe. He's like, that's risky. I don't want anything to do with it. So after talking to him a few times, he was like, well, we at least got to go to Arizona because that's where the hub is.
Okay.
We at least got to go to Arizona and try the food and check it out before I make any decisions. I'm like, all right, done. So we catch a flight, we go down there, and we just loved the vibe. We love the vibe. We love the food. We love the energy. We love the fact, so I have a seafood sensitivity, not so much an allergy, but a seafood sensitivity. So I really can't even eat seafood. My husband loves seafood, so I would go to...
You own a seafood restaurant and you can't eat seafood?
Well, trust me, I do every once in a while. It's like I'll take a Benadryl. I'm like, I'm not missing out on this or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a sensitivity to it. After I had my daughter, my hormones changed and yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we used to do seafood buffets all the time before my daughter and nothing. And then after I had her.
And you don't have a background in the restaurant business? Like you and your husband didn't grow up in Vegas working the restaurant scene or anything like that?
So my family has a background of our restaurant business. My mother, my grandmother, my father, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we opened bars, one restaurant, but a lot of bars and clubs. So I think to the tune of like 8 in Albuquerque. So I've always kind of been immersed in it, My first job was being a dishwasher at a restaurant.
Okay.
Then I was a busser and I waited tables, I cocktailed. So I kind of had an idea with the hospitality, how that went, So, and plus I'm in the service industry. I also have a skincare business. So I don't know. It's food and it's skincare, but it's at the end of the day, it's about the guest.
Yeah. The guests. I love that.
Yeah. It's, at the end of the day, it's about the guests. So I feel like I'm pretty good with that.
And so how long have you guys been open?
It'll be 6 years that we've had the keys, which was March 1st. So 6 years in March, end of January, end of this month. It'll be 5 years that we've been open.
Nice. Is it true, like somebody's going to fact check me on the stats and give me a nasty comment, but is it true that like 50 or 60% of restaurants fail in the first 5 years, or there's some god awful number like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's no joke. And especially Vegas. Vegas is a hard nut to crack, and Henderson.
Yeah.
I've seen, and I said this going into this, because we do have partners. And I said, I have seen multi-million-dollar franchises not make it. It has to have a different approach. It has to have a different approach. And it truly, truly does. Being that it's a franchise, they're like, follow this model, which, by the way, it's a great model. But I think on the marketing side, needs to be tweaked a little per capita.
Okay.
Because every city is a little different. And things that might work a little better in Arizona, probably won't work so well in Nevada or Georgia or Texas, so, but it's tough. It's a tough gig for restaurants in general, but I do think for Henderson in Las Vegas. So we're pretty proud that will be 5 years that we've been open. And through COVID.
It's pretty crazy because a lot of people have asked me this of like, what's been the most surprising thing about moving to Vegas or Henderson? It's like, you know what you're getting when you move to Vegas. The number one most surprising thing is how quickly we've built community here. But number two is like, you can walk into any restaurant in any strip mall, anywhere in the city, and it's going to be generally good because bad restaurants just don't make it out here. There's so many options. There's so much competition. Like if you guys weren't good, you wouldn't have made it 5 years.
That's so true. Well, and like I said, a moment ago, and we survived COVID.
Yeah.
We survived.
So when you opened right as COVID was hitting and nobody could come in the door.
We got our keys March 1st. 2 weeks later, COVID happened.
Oh.
And my husband was like, really? And, it's only going to be a couple weeks, oh, it's only going to be a couple more weeks. And so on and so forth. And we had to, the PPEs and how to set up the restaurant and the spacing and the shields, between the booths. And, we went through all that. And then everybody got checks. So everybody was buying crab legs. I mean, it was great. It was great. But then once all the dust settled, what did that look like?
Right.
So that's been a little bit of a challenge,
What was surprising for you in setting up the business? Like maybe what was the biggest surprise you weren't expecting working with a franchisor? And then what's been like the best thing that you've gotten as far as support of being a franchise?
So I think the hardest part is the marketing side of it. To their credit, they've got, I want to say, and don't quote me, but I want to say there's like 15 locations in the Phoenix metropolitan area. So they all can kind of bounce off each other. So they have the visibility.
Right.
So when I express needs, it's not really taken, I don't want to say it's not taken seriously. It is taken seriously, but just kind of, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's just, I feel like we should have looked at this store, Henderson, as the only Angry Crab Shack ever being open.
Right. Because you are the first one in the city, right? Yeah.
Pretend it's the first one ever. And then take that approach.
Yeah.
How would you market? You have to build the business.
Right.
So, and it's a new franchise. It's still kind of in its, I would say toddler phase. I wouldn't say infancy. I'd say, we're getting to the toddler phase, and it's they've got great food, great support, great recipes, but that's the hardest part is the marketing of it.
Yeah.
So within the last year, they've really said, okay, kind of taken a step back and given us a little more freedom, expanding on the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing, don't quote me on this. I can't remember the stats exactly, but I have a client down in LA who's open 28, 30 bars, builds it, sells it, builds the next one, sells it, whatnot. And he told me some stat, and I'm going to butcher this, but you'll get the idea of like 60% of the reoccurring clientele comes from like living within 2 miles of the bar, maybe even a mile. And then it's like, it expands this circle out to where if you get somebody that comes into the bar that lives 10, 15 miles away, you can kind of treat them like garbage because they're never coming back anyway. It's like, especially bars are this very local, like you go to your local bar, you can walk home, you can get an Uber for $10, you can have a cocktail and drive home. What do you find in the restaurant industry? Like, will people drive across town for the right food, or are you just geo-targeting your market within 2 miles of the location, 5 miles of the location? Like, have you seen anything on that, on like who's your reoccurring clients that come in frequently?
Well, it's funny because it's all across the board.
Really?
It's all, yeah, we have people coming in town from, for our SEMA. So 3 guys came in from Wyoming for SEMA. They saw our social media post in Wyoming. They loved it so much, they came back with another 8 guys from SEMA, and they were on the strip.
Oh.
Yeah, so we get that all the time. Yeah, we see you in Texas. We see your social media in Texas. This was the first stop.
Really?
Yeah. So we get a lot of Vegas just visitors and they find out about us from our social media. Now, we do have also the pocket of locals, that I've got a couple that they come every stinking Wednesday for their date night or date lunch, and they've been doing that for a while, and it's just, and it's just not them. There's multiple couples like that and people,
right?
So, and then I have some great friends, and they live on the other side of the world in Northtown, and they come from Craig and the 95, and they'll drive all the way to the restaurant to eat because they love our seafood. Obviously to support too, but
right.
But they love it. They absolutely love it. So, I think it's a little bit of everything.
It is. When we go out once every other week for like dinner, it's always a coin toss as we're driving down the street. It's like, okay, guys, are we going to Angry Crab Shack or are we going to sushi? And it's about 50-50 that we pick the two. But talk about your social media, because I was in there and you had some social media influencers in there doing the lobster stuff. Like, what made you think about adopting social media early to tell the story about the restaurant? What has that process looked like? Like, talk a little bit about that, because I know you've done it very, very well.
Thank you. The first year when we opened, we had our grand opening, I want to say 5 months after we opened. And I just started noticing on Instagram, there was a lot of foodies, and 5 years ago, that was
it was a new thing.
It was a new thing.
Right.
And I thought, we need to ride this wave, because I was looking at all the viewers. I was looking at the content. I would even look at the viewers that liked the information on the page, and some were local, some were out of the state. And I thought, this is great visibility, because I was managing the social media page at first, and it's kind of embarrassing what I would post versus, what our social media guy posts now, and, but yeah, so I just was looking at all these different content creators, and I thought, well, I want to invite them to grand opening, but if they're too big, I have to pay them, and I know we really can't afford them. So if they're new, kind of smaller following, maybe they'll be happy for a free meal and shoot some content. And I reached out to about 6 of them, and they all agreed. And now they have all blown up. Like Talia, she's a big deal.
Was she the one that my son was knocking on the lobster with?
No, that's Joy Food. So
Joy Food.
Yeah,
awesome.
She is awesome, and she actually first got viral through our restaurant.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's beautiful because so many foodies have gone viral from a restaurant like Las Vegas Phil. He's the Lobster King, and I think to this day, don't quote me, but last I heard, he's got the most views and likes on his Angry Crab post to date.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's a big deal, So, so anyhow, we found 6, and one of them, his name was Amir and Joy, and I forget the other gentleman. He's no longer a part of their partnership, but he approached me and he says, "Who's doing your social media page?" And I'm like, "Well, I am, And he says, "Well, I'd like to manage your social media page." So I sat back, I talked with my partners. Everybody's like, "Okay, sure, let's do it." And the difference with him managing the page versus me and what I could create, like, I know what I want. I know what I want it to look like. I just can't get it there.
Right.
So, yeah, so he took it over, and we had him for about a couple years, almost 2 years. And talking with the partners and stuff, we thought, it's an expense, is it really equating to the business? Are we getting an ROI on it? And I said, I think so, because, I'm here and my managers are saying oh yeah, social media. They saw it on Instagram. They saw it on TikTok, and they were like, oh, there's no way. And I'm like, yeah, it's happening. So I acquiesced and I says, all right, fine. We'll get rid of social media and we'll manage it in-house. At this point, they had created a platform to where I can kind of upload things a little easier that looked a lot better than what I could do, which is a great tool to have for any franchisee that doesn't have the means of, hiring a social media person or is not at all good with posts like myself. So, but that just wasn't grabbing the attention that I needed, I didn't think, so we waited about 1.5 years and, it's that slow decline, right, in business. And you're just like, you got to pivot. You got to figure something out. Just try something. And, we just reverted back to the social media, which we felt that worked. So I reached back out to my social media guy, because I just think he's great, and if I could have him forever, I would really. And he said, absolutely. So by having him, that opens the door to all his foodies, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like they pay respect to their accounts. So, he can say, hey, come on down, and they won't charge you, outside of feeding them. They don't charge you the fee because normally I think it's anywhere from $500 to $1,000, especially if you have a large following.
Right.
So if you're well established. So we were able to kind of waive all that. They got viral. So everybody's super willing to do it because, believe it or not, we're going viral.
Everybody's winning, right?
Yeah. It takes a village, right?
Yeah.
It really takes a village.
I think something to be learned in there is like a lot of times when people think of business partnerships or whatever, they're thinking contracts and profit share and all this crazy stuff. And it's funny that whole genesis of that story is like, I just reached out and invited some people for a free dinner. Mm-hmm. Like, how easy is that, right? Mm-hmm. And how much traction have you gotten the last couple of years in social media marketing and people walking in the door because you just started with a conversation of like, hey, this is what we're doing. Can you come make some content? I'll feed you for free. It was probably not a lot of money to begin with. And then, obviously people deserve to be paid for their services if they're managing the marketing, but just a good reminder for the business people out there of like, don't overthink it. Just make the call and reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were so gracious. And, like I said, it's been outside of that little break. We're going on 5 years working together, so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good way to pivot. I think it's a good way to get yourself visibility. So we have a platform that we can really kind of monitor and really get a tangible idea on how many views, how many impressions, how many interactions. And the last 90 days, I saw it was 35 million impressions.
Just from your Instagram or TikTok?
Just from the TikTok, the Instagram, and the Facebook.
Whoa.
35 million impressions. Yes. So now, if you narrow it down, is it all Henderson people? No.
Right.
But I think from a franchise side, that's visibility for the brand.
Right.
Because it's New York, it's Costa Rica, it's all over the map.
Right.
But 35 million impressions.
Yeah. And that's going to be giving some boost to like the people in Phoenix, right? Because somebody sees on social media, obviously they're not driving to Henderson, but they'll look up their local place. Hey, Scott Grove, just want to take a quick interruption here to give you a rundown of a couple businesses that are supporting the Henderson HQ newsletter, podcast, website, Instagram, all the things. Number one, Ethereal Med Spa, a true gym for your skin. Check them out, Ethereal Med Spa here in Henderson. Right Bet Auto Body. Love everything that they can do for you, whether it's a scratch and dent or whether it's a full custom remodel of a classic car. And then shout out to my friend Casey Hallstad. He is the owner of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. They have everything from very beginners kids at 4 or 5 years old to the old man class that meets at 6 o'clock in the morning, which was where I'm at every morning. And also my friend Val, who's doing some of the Instagram content for us. She runs a women's self-defense class on Friday night. So whether you're a seasoned black belt or you're just thinking about giving jiu-jitsu a chance or you want to get your kids into it, shout out to Casey Hallstad, 10th Planet, and back to the podcast. This whole story is so interesting to me just because you didn't own a restaurant before and you guys took the risk to do this. What's next? Like, are you going to open another another location? Are you happy with where you're at? You mentioned little downturn in business, but now things seem to be on the upswing again, thanks to the social media. So,
Well, thanks to social media, that's helping, but I think we could do better. We're really focusing on our grassroots. And one thing I can say outside of our competitors, we really give back to the community. Outside of the restaurant, put that aside, just as a family, we did that before.
mhm.
And the beautiful thing about this brand, they do that in Arizona. They give back $1 of the proceeds from the French fries to Phoenix Children's Hospital. So $1 of every French fry we give back to Sunrise Children's Hospital.
It's awesome.
Yeah. We also hold, a bunch of events for animal rescues. We do an angel tree. I've done that now 4 years in a row. We did the Chet Buchanan toy drive. We did that for 2 years, but it was just hard lugging all the bikes down and finding the time, because outside of all of this, my husband and I have jobs.
Oh, you still have another full-time job?
I do. I have a skincare business.
Oh, I thought that was like a little side passion project that you did for fun.
It's a side passion project that pays me, which is a blessing. Yeah, which is a blessing. Yeah. So I have an entire team that I have a general manager. I have an operations manager. He comes down about once a month from Arizona, checks on things, makes sure everything's good. I have a restaurant manager. I have, obviously, front of the house, back of the house.
Right.
So I'm kind of push the marketing. I do a little admin stuff. I used to do the HR side of things, and I'm like, yeah, that's not for me.
Right.
So we have actually our partners are the founder of Angry Crab Shack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we all kind of invested, and then there's, I want to say 2 or 3 retired Raiders football players that are also partners, and then a couple other, one he's out of New Mexico, and another one I believe is in Gilbert, Arizona.
And
Yeah.
speaking of HR, I always think about this. Vegas is a pretty transient community. A lot of people moving in and out all the time. Like, one of the things I've been sad about is like, I'll build a good relationship with a guy at jiu-jitsu, and they're like, oh, I got a job here. This was kind of a checkpoint to get back to my hometown or whatever. And then also I imagine a lot of wait staff in Vegas is like, there's a lot of competition. There's many levels to that job in Vegas. How are you finding team members? How are you retaining team members? Because like in my mind, running HR for a restaurant would be the 7th circle of hell. Like I wouldn't be able to deal with it.
No,
So
it's tough. It's tough.
how are you finding people, training people, retaining good people? Because I hear this from a lot of business owners of like, oh yeah, staffing is my number one headache.
I think it's the hardest part of the job. I'm going to be completely honest. It's the hardest part of the job. I will say my team is awesome. I'm a little biased. They're awesome. And they kind of hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? And train and coach each other outside of, what my general manager does. And there's a whole training platform that they do online. But a lot of them is word of mouth. Hey, I know this guy. I can vet him. He's a great dude. He's a hard worker. So we'll tend to take their word for it. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't, But for the most part, I think we're at a really, really good place this last year and a half, with employees. You might have one hiccup here and there. But management, we will find them through an outside source, But other than that, yeah, pretty much word of mouth.
That's amazing. Because I can tell you, I've been into your restaurant many, many times. Sometimes you've been there. Sometimes the manager's been there. Sometimes there's been no manager there. So I've gotten the full spectrum.
Yeah.
And the people that you have are just nice. I know that sounds corny, but when I go to a restaurant, I could probably muddle through and make some broiled shrimp here and some, not as good as you guys make it. But it's when I go to a steak restaurant, my wife has gotten to the point where she's an amazing steak cook. So if we go to a steak restaurant and the service isn't excellent, I'm just so angry. I'm like, why do we pay for something we could have made at home? But every time we've gone there, the people are super kind. My poor daughter has been going through this brutal, miserable stomach problem the last year. I could talk to you about that for hours, but luckily she's on the mend. And it's we've had to be awkwardly cautious about food.
Sure.
At the height of things, it was no garlic, no onions, no carbs, no dairy, no sugar, no pepper. I mean, the list just went on and on and on. And so we went in there and I was like, hey, I'm not trying to be obnoxious, but like boiled shrimp only. And they're like, no problem, sir. We'll figure it out. And it's like, your staff is excellent. But speaking about the build out, I think that you guys found an awesome location, right? Kind of like real estate, location. You're on a main highway. You've got an awesome deck. So I can't wait till it warms up because we're going to have a Henderson HQ little party or business mixer or something there.
Love to have it.
Yeah, it's great. So when you were picking the location, I happen to know what the investment is for a commercial lease. That is a big decision. How long did it take you to find the place and negotiate the deal and all that type of fun stuff?
So we found a couple locations. And then, of course, our partner, Ron, who is the founder of the brand, he was in Arizona and he was doing his research too. So he showed us a couple and asked us what our thoughts, because we're the locals, right? We kind of know what's good, what's not, We really wanted to be off of Stephanie.
Okay.
Because at the time, that was like Restaurant Row.
Yep.
And at the time, there was really nothing. There was a spot, I think what is the name? It's a new place. Was the old Genghis Grill.
Okay.
What is it? It's called The Watch now.
I don't know.
So we looked at that, but he wanted higher. He has a vision.
Right.
And we're going to go with it because you founded the whole thing.
Seems to have worked out.
And it's worked out just fine in Arizona. So So we brought up the Joe's Crab Shack. We're like, what about this one? It's awfully big, and going back and forth. And he did the whole negotiating side in Arizona for the lease and all that. So it seems like we got a pretty good deal. We really wanted the one, which is now Chicago de Amore. It's the spot.
It's a place, right?
But that we couldn't get any information, which turns out that owner bought it.
Oh.
Bought the land. So he bought it in the prime. Like he's sitting really pretty. So we're super happy for him, But so we went back to the old Joe's Crab Shack and it was vacant for 4 years. It was a mess.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was riddled with, homeless and it was a mess. If you can imagine anything that's on a patio, it was on the patio. And but yeah, so my husband, he's an electrician and he knows a lot of people that are in the construction field. So we felt pretty confident that we can kind of turn it around fairly reasonable. And that's exactly what we did.
Nice. How long have you been in Henderson?
24 years. We've been in that same house for 22 years.
So after 7 years, you're a local.
Totally.
So other than the Angry Crab Shack in Henderson, give us some other of your hotspots. What are places in Henderson that you like to visit, that you like to drink coffee at? Not eat, because of course you're only going to eat at your restaurant. But give us some other stuff that maybe new people moving to Henderson might not know about.
Mothership, all the way Mothership.
Mothership. Why do I not know this?
Oh my gosh, Mothership coffee. I will not do Starbucks. I will not do Dutch. Well, I will never say never. Sometimes I just don't. I don't have the time. I want to do drive-through, and I want to do something quick. And then I always get mad at myself that I spent $8 and I didn't get the order right.
Wait, where is Mothership Coffee? Why am I not heard this?
Right across the street from the restaurant.
Oh, I have seen that. Okay.
And then they have one on St. Rose. They have Sunrise, which is off of Sunset.
Okay.
So that's like a sister property.
Did they open one in Summerlin in the outdoor mall there? Do you know? Because it sounds like someplace I've been, but definitely not in Henderson. Anyway.
Maybe.
Okay, so Mothership Coffee, that's a big plus one.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Okay.
So good. And it's just you order it a specific way. It's like that every single time. The consistency is there. And that's huge, especially when you're paying $7 for coffee.
I have a buddy that worked for me 24 years ago, and we still call each other because both of us like a lot of extra ice in our drink. We will still text or call each other every time that we go through a drive-through. We're like, extra ice, lots of ice, please. And they give me a drink with no ice in it. I guess there's a lot more people that order drinks with no ice than extra ice. So you say something about ice, they just assume, they heard in their head, no ice. And so we call each other probably about once a month, like, yep, just drove through, got my Dr. Pepper with no ice. And it's like, that was our argument for minimum wage never going up. But that's a different political podcast there. So what skills do you think you and your husband brought from skincare business, electrician, not exactly a perfect map over to running a large franchise restaurant. What do you think it was about the two of you that allowed you to be successful in this build out, in running the business? Like what makes you you?
We're not quitters.
Oh, you said that so quick.
We're not
That's
quitters.
like that must be like a ethos of Dana and family.
We're strong. We're not lazy. We're hardworking. I'm the one, I pivot. What about this? And let's try this. And then, and he's my stable, grounded guy, not much of a risk taker. So it's total balance between he and I. And sometimes, I can lay it all out for him and he's like, okay, I get it. And then sometimes he's like, absolutely not because X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But I think it's just, we're a great team. We're a great team and we always recover, because within a marriage, too, the stress of the investment and, because we took some of our retirement out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, we have some holy moments, but at the end of the day, we have each other, we have each other and that's all that matters. We have our health, we have our family, and we're strong-willed and we work hard and that's all. We're doing the best we can, if you have those components, at least at the end of the day, I can say, you know what, I did what I could.
Is there, I'm sure there is, maybe you can tell me what the added stresses are when it's like, we're married, we're raising kids together. Now we have a business together. Now we're invested in this thing that's like part of our retirement together. Like what added stress level has come, or how are you dealing with that added stress level of like not only being married, but now being in business together?
Well, I hate to say it, but like sometimes conversations will go to him and he's like, I'm just maintenance, and he does all the maintenance in the restaurant. He handles the tanks. He handles all the maintenance throughout the restaurant. He's just maintenance and he knows every single inch of that building, every breaker, every outlet, every fryer. He knows it all. So he just kind of stays in his lane. So when people revert to him to ask him questions, he's like, yeah. Well, he doesn't know the whole other side of things. So he'll say, yeah, I spoke to so-and-so and
this sounds like me and my wife.
I spoke to so-and-so and I says, well, why'd you say that? Because this and this and this is what's happening. Well, I didn't know, so that gets frustrating. I go, well, do I need to update you? Well, I don't care about that stuff. I go, but that's the stuff they're talking about.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, and he'll say that. He'll say, my time is valuable, and I get it because, he works his butt off. And he's going through a merger with his company. He works for Lumen. And Lumen is selling their low voltage fiber department to AT&T, well, a sub-company of AT&T. So they're doing end of year stuff and he's on meetings and so sometimes, hey, this needs to be fixed. This isn't, So I guess I'm going to work 6-7 days for the rest of my life then, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, yeah,
that's
much.
It's the joy of being a business owner.
Yeah.
It never stops.
He leaves the house and in a huff and then he comes back and he's nothing happened. Happy to be home.
So pivoting, you actually own 2 businesses, which I didn't know when you originally walked in here. Tell us about Skin by Dana Lynn.
That's my passion. My skincare business, I've been doing skincare for 30 years. My daughter actually just recently got her license, so we're working together.
Like esthetician?
It's a medical esthetician, yeah. Okay. So I do radio frequency microneedling, laser hair removal, deeper plane chemical peels, dermaplaning facials. I can go on and on and on.
And you have a location?
I have a location, off of Whitney Ranch in Sunset.
Okay.
I've been there for 4 years, and before that I was at a location off of Horizon called Escape. I was there for 14 years.
So how does the customer service from skincare and peels on the face and stuff transfer over to you teaching the team how to give great customer service to my daughter that can't have a million things on her shrimp? Because I do feel like there must be a corollary because your people are so great.
Well, you got to make them happy. I appreciate who's ever sitting in our booth, or sitting on my table. There's so much competition. They don't have to go to me. They don't have to go to our restaurant. do you know how many seafood boils? Which, by the way, when we first opened, there was not one seafood boil place.
Well, I still don't
in
know
the
of
area.
any other because I only come to yours. So,
Well, shortly after that, there was a Viking boil, I believe, and they had a beautiful restaurant. I don't think they're there anymore. But then they just started popping up everywhere after us, So, but that's why we got, we wanted to do it. We're like, oh, perfect.
right.
We can target the market. And we forgot other people have the same ideas, But at the end of the day, it's be grateful for the people that are sitting at your table. Be grateful for the people that are, are sitting on my bed and paying me for a treatment, And I love to do it. It's crazy. Like, I can't believe I get paid to do what I love. Not everybody has that opportunity to have that calling, and be able to make money with what they love to do. And I'm so blessed and grateful that I get to.
Yeah. We got introduced by Mr. Novak, shout out.
Yeah.
Has the best Facebook group in town called Living in Henderson. There's like 90,000 people in there.
Wow.
I did feel like in your conversation, like a big part of what you're doing and the conversation we had there is just networking, right? Like just inviting people in. So can you talk about either how that comes naturally or how you've forced yourself to be like, I own a business. I have to network to get people in the door. Because that shines through when we had a conversation at the restaurant.
Yeah, so there's a lot of networking. There's a lot of networking to do. I'm a chamber member, and I'm partnered up with Living in Henderson, Lisa and Chris and John. They're all so amazing, and they've done such a great job helping me, and I just really trust their judgment and what they recommend, and I'm pretty much open to anything, like, let's try this. Let's do it. I use the adage or the slang. I says, I just want to look at marketing like a big old pot of noodles, and I just want to grab it. I want to throw it at the wall, and whatever sticks, we'll focus on that. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just throwing noodles at the wall, and whatever sticks, we're going to focus on that. And one of them is, the networking and just getting to know my community better. During the day, it's a little tough because I do work.
Right.
So I find myself doing nighttime events, and I enjoy people, sometimes it does make it for a long day,
right.
But just all the connections, like, look, I got to meet you,
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I got to meet you. I got to meet your amazing son, and there's that story times 100.
Right.
Since I've been doing all of this. So it's just getting out there.
My kids could bankrupt me because like they could kill all you could eat sushi and come to your place and kill 5 pounds of shrimp every night. Like if I let them, we would have a $10,000 a month eating out bill. Because like they're growing kids and they go wild.
Yeah.
What do you tend to attract at the business? Is it couples going on date night who wants to have a beer, or is it big families? Like if I come into your place on a normal Tuesday, Wednesday night, what am I going to see?
You're going to see some families. Tuesday nights, it's kids eat free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's
write that down.
Yeah, kids eat free on Tuesday nights with a purchase of an adult meal and a drink. We will be rolling out in the next day or two 10% off to all our civil servants, our police officers, our firemen, our teachers, our nurses, our seniors. That's one thing we're going to really focus on is just giving back, in that way.
Nice.
Just everybody's kind of sitting on their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
And especially families, it's rough right now. So
inflation's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And so specific nights like Tuesday night is, kids eat free. But I see a lot of families. You get an occasional, especially if there's an event in town.
Right.
Like I said, the guy from SEMA, they came in on a Wednesday, from Wyoming. So we'll get people that pop in,
We were there watching the UNLV game, the bowl game. You have a great bar, by the way.
Thank you.
Great setup. Do you get a lot of watch parties? Like, can you show UFC fights or stuff that's on things like that? Or I think that's changed recently with them going to Paramount. Maybe the licensing is a little bit easier now to show. But do you guys do a lot of sport events there?
We do. We show the games.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. We're open to anything. Last time we looked for UFC, I think the licensing, don't quote me on the number, but I think it was like if it was over 50 people to get the fight was like thousands.
Yeah.
and then does that really fit the brand,
Right.
because it is a family restaurant,
Right.
so we want to also be mindful of that. But I it's a conversation to have again.
Have you ever had music on your patio? I feel like that patio would play so well to like live music.
I think it would too. But again, it's a brand thing,
Oh, they don't like music.
I mean, I think they like music, but I think, they want to focus on the family restaurant, is it something maybe they'll consider one day? Maybe, because we've got the space for it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how much we want to pivot.
I'm guessing you don't have to like source the seafood and that whole headache. The franchise takes care of that.
They source it.
Oh.
They source it. I think the price increase was the most surprising.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How much have prices gone up for food, service, labor, stuff like that?
It depends on
5 years.
I would say, and again, don't quote me, but I would say I see numbers because I do all the approvals on our invoices and stuff daily. And I would say like our snow crab has doubled.
Doubled?
Mm-hmm. Almost doubled.
Whoa.
Yeah, almost doubled. King is up there. Shrimp has gone up just a little bit. Our live, we're the only location that has live.
Yeah.
Live done.
My kids love your tank.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's so funny. They love your tank. They always want to like reach through the tank and touch things. And then one of your chefs brought out like a huge lobster, and my kid just turned into a little child who did not want to touch anything. And I even told him, I'm like, buddy, you're going to regret this. You're going to regret this if you don't hold this thing and take a picture. He's like, no. It freaked him out too much. I don't know why. Like he'll touch a tiger, but he won't touch a lobster. So prices on like the higher end stuff up like 100%. Is that, I wonder what that's from. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to chat GPT it or something. Like I'm guessing healthcare, wages, all that stuff.
Yeah, everything's just gone up and we can't fully increase our prices.
Right.
Because then we can't price ourselves out.
Right.
So we're kind of taking it in the shorts, with the increase in the food, but yet not going crazy in the price increase. So it's tough. It doesn't leave much meat on the bones, that's for sure.
No. There's a lot of businesses like restaurants, like high volume, low margin, right? Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I think there we go. That's what surprised me. The margin, the profit margin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just not as much as you were expecting?
No.
Okay.
No.
Never is.
No. But in all fairness, we did go through COVID and, dealing with a shortage, a price increase.
Yeah. Nobody was expecting double-digit inflation increases for 5 years.
No. So sometimes like we used to cry about it. At least I did. Now I can laugh about it because it's just so like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Tell me a couple things to close up here that you love about living in Henderson. You've been here for a long time. You stayed in the same house. You've committed to opening multiple businesses here. Like there's got to be something you love about living here.
I love the people. I love the community. My gosh, it's home.
Yeah.
It's home. I mean, I can mindlessly drive almost like mental autopilot to where I need to go. I love seeing the growth. I love seeing the growth in the community too,
Yeah, 22 years. You were here right after Green Valley was opened, right? It's about 20 years that they've had most of that open.
Green Valley High School?
No, Green Valley, like the area, the law of there.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen massive explosive growth here over 25 years.
Oh yeah. I could kick myself had they not invested in something back then, but
hindsight's 2020.
It is. But no, I love the growth and I just love the people and I love the little small businesses. That's one thing my husband and I do. Every weekend we pick one local restaurant and we try to pay it forward, and then there's always new spots to check out. Right. It's we like it.
What's one thing you're looking forward to in 2026, whether it's business, personal, for the community? Like, what are you looking forward to this year?
A change in this economy. Hopefully administration can kind of figure this all out and get not so much myself, everybody.
Yeah.
A real opportunity to grow, and families not struggling, that's a huge thing. We contribute. I went out and I bought a bunch of Christmas gifts off of the angel tree myself. And because I know parents are struggling, they provide gifts for their kids.
Yeah.
And so just hopefully it's a little better for not just for me, but for everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
It is a little weird right now where it's like the people that are truly struggling are struggling and hopefully the economy gets better for them. And then there is this whole other group of people that probably don't need to tighten their belts, but they're scared for whatever reason, politics, economy, whatnot. And it's like, oh no, if you guys stop spending money when you can, you're actually hurting the people on the lower economic tier that like need those monies coming in because they're a waitress or they're working in a service industry or they're working in a construction industry. So it's like this very weird double whammy where like, yes, inflation is real and there is a portion of the market getting priced out from spending money. And then there's another class of the market that could be spending money, but they're just kind of playing a little tight to the vest, which, you know, I guess that's why they're not in debt. And I tend to go into debt and then have to pay it off. So kudos to them for managing their finances. But for the greater economy, we need you guys to spend money.
well, it's true, but I see both sides of the fence because I'll tell you what, where, you know, the restaurant is making it, I'm profiting on my other side. I mean, I'm doing really well, you know, but then again, that's catering to a different demographic.
Right.
You know, I'm hundreds of dollars in treatments and they don't even blink an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do any of your kids work for the restaurant or have they?
So they both have.
Love that.
Yeah, they both have. My son worked there 1 day a week. And he was a bartender. And he was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I said, okay, fair enough. And then, but my daughter was a busser. Or not a busser. She was a busser. It's called HBR, Host Bus Runner. So they do all three. So she did that. She quit her job for the city of Henderson. She worked the little after school program for city of Henderson for 3 years and went and got a job on the strip as a busser to kind of, or a host to just kind of get some, you know, background in it. And so we hired her, brought her on. And then once she turned 21, she became a server. And then after a few months, she got behind the bar. So that after a year of bar experience, she applied to Tao Group and she got hired as bartender at the day club. And we'll probably never see her again.
Okay.
After that.
A little bit more money at the day club than Angry Crowd Shack. Sorry.
Yeah. So she's loving it. But, you know, that's where she got her feet wet. That's she got that hospitality knowledge. Yeah.
Well, Dana, 1, thank you for being on. 2, thank you for opening the franchise because my kids and I love the restaurant. And 3, as soon as it warms up a little bit, we'll get something scheduled on your patio for the Henderson HQ community.
Fantastic. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Scott Groves with the Henderson HQ podcast. I hope you got something out of that episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. It really helps the show grow. And by the way, if you are a business owner or you know a business owner who has an interesting product, service, or just an interesting backstory, please get in touch with us. Email us at thehendersonhq@gmail.com. We would love to interview you because that's what this show is all about. It's about building community, supporting local, individually owned businesses, and just making Henderson a great place to live. And don't forget, go to hendersonhq.com and make sure you sign up for our newsletter. We send out a once-a-week newsletter, no spam, about the most interesting local businesses, hotspots, restaurants, community events. Thanks for watching the show. Really appreciate you.